truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
The Murfreesboro Fire Rescue Department is going door to door asking for your help in the 2025 special census. The only information they will ask for is your street address, the number of residents living at that address, and their first and last names. That's it, and it only takes a couple of minutes to complete. Information gathered for the special census provides funds to improve our public safety division, and that benefits the entire community. You can also fill out the special census online at murfreesborocensus.com.
We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at wgnsradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Welcome in. It's a Wednesday on the Roundtable here on WGNS. Chip Walters with you from Exit Realty, Bob Lamb and Associates, and the Blue Raider Network. Glad to have you with us today. Got a fun topic today, and one of the great events every year is the Masters Golf Tournament, and in just a moment, we'll be heading up to Kingsport, Tennessee, and talk to Greg Lamb, who is a historian of the Masters. And but first of all, we've got weather moving in, and Brian Barrett of Rutherford Weather kind of has Brian. What's going to happen here in the next 72 hours or so? Or if you could figure that out, you'd get paid a whole lot more.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So.
boy, isn't that the truth? One thing I can tell you is that Middle Tennessee is right there in an area where we're going to experience kind of all modes of severe weather. Doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be in one spot right here. Flooding, I think, in northwest Middle Tennessee, Clarksville, Paris, in that neck of the woods is going to be a real issue when you're talking about, double-digit rainfall in just a matter of a few days. But the severe weather looks like midnight to 5 a.m. for us. What's going to happen is a front is not going to come all the way through. We usually get a front plow through, then it's cooler on the backside. Well, that front's going to stall right here in Middle Tennessee, and where it does, that's going to be the focus of the rain.
Yeah, so starting tonight around midnight, just start being ready, because over the next 72 hours, we could get a good deal of rain. If this thing moves 10 miles, it could change from getting 2 inches of rain to 8 inches of rain in the next 3 days.
And it could change, where the severe weather is over the next few days as well, whether it be, looks like tomorrow, because it's going to be very early in the morning, that could be our real time for severe weather, but that's when, less storm fuel is there because it's early in the morning. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see, but be on weather watch for sure.
All right, Rutherford Weather on all the platforms, and of course here on WGNS, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, time now to set the mood. Hello, friends. Glad to have you with us today on this edition of the Roundtable as we talk the Masters. And one of the masters of the history of this Masters Golf Tournament is my friend Greg Lamb, who joins us today from up in Kingsport, Tennessee. And Greg, good to see you, because if you're watching on Big G TV today, you can see Greg with his Masters quarter zip on and a lot of memorabilia up behind him. But thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
No problem, Chip. Really appreciate you taking the time. Hoping to share a little bit of Masters history with all your listeners.
So, yeah, for folks, if you have any specific questions, we're going to kind of hit some high spots because, 1 hour just does not cover it all, but kind of give us a little background on what got you interested in becoming, really taking a huge deep dive for a large portion of your life into this golf tournament.
No problem, Chip. Yeah, really want to start back with my education. I got a BS and MBA from Middle Tennessee State University. Currently working on a graduate degree from LSU in archival studies with artifact preservation. Also have a big family history with the Masters. My maternal grandparents were actually badge holders from 1966 to 2014. So have a little bit of that family history, but also, I really love the Masters. Like a lot of people that get into football and basketball and everything else, we in our family was all about the Masters. So I jumped in, got a lot of information, and really started getting into the Masters history, and then also worked on some artifacts that have gone on to the Eisenhower Museum, and have also worked on some other projects that have gone to other institutions that are directly related to Augusta National and the Masters.
So, wow, that's, so you do have, you've gotten deep into it, and I will not say the weeds, you've gotten into the second cut of the history of this golf tournament. And I guess, it all starts with the golf course. Augusta National Golf Course, obviously, it has not been a golf course forever, but, Bobby Jones obviously had a vision back early in the 20th century, but it when you look at all the trees and the azaleas and everything that's there, that predates the golf course in the history of that piece of property.
Yeah, I think the best thing, Chip, is to go back to, there is a lot of history there in that central Savannah River area, but really the person I want to jump back to is really Dennis Redmond. Dennis Redmond was really kind of the person that started the whole kind of nursery idea around the South, and he really jumped on the idea after being part of the Southern Cultivator. He saw that after the cotton crash in 1843, that the South really needed a new type of kind of crop, and what his vision was for were fruit trees and flowering plants that just would take over people's homes, that would help provide the fruit, but also provide, absolute beauty. So trying to diversify from that cotton, he would go on also what a lot of us now know as the clubhouse. He was the one that actually had the vision to help construct the two-story manor house that was there. And what's really important about that is it was one of the first concrete structures in the South. It's not the first, but it was one of the first. And with that concrete structure, it was actually derived from the stone and the water there from Rays Creek.
Oh, wow. And so he kind of got it started there. There was a gentleman from Belgium who was a big part of this in the notes that you gave me to kind of help lead down the path. But it kind of hits home because of, you talked about the nursery business, and we're not talking about little babies. We're talking plants and trees,
right.
And with our friends over in Warren County and DeKalb County, with all the nurseries that are there, this kind of hits home that this gentleman started a company that was a mail order fruit tree and plant company, and this is well over 100 years ago.
It is, yeah. The person that we're talking about is Prosper Jules Ambrose Bergmans. J.P. Bergmans is really what he's well known for. He actually came to the area from New Jersey and then came down to Augusta. But what brought him down to Augusta was actually pears. Pears were a big cash crop in that area for a long time, and from those pears, he actually started building up a nursery. Fruitlands, which Dennis Redmond originally had, kind of fell out. Dennis Redmond was not a great horticulturist. So Prosper Berkman's actually took over Fruitland, and when he did, he took over the entire nursery, and he's really what kind of jump-started everything for that area in terms of production of the flowers, the trees, but the one thing that he was really well known for, Chip, and is also very well known in Georgia history, but at the time there was this little fruit plant that was about the size of two of your thumbs put together, but he was able to basically work with those plants and grow them and cultivate them, and it's now what we know as the peach in that area.
So before that, there was not a peach.
Well, there was a peach, but it was a much smaller. It was if you take about two of your thumbs together,
okay,
and then you kind of look at it. It was about that size, but he cultivated to about the baseball size now that we know of a peach.
So, but prior to that, Georgia could have been known as the pear state, but
exactly,
but it became the peach state because of that. Well, as we fast forward, how did Bobby Jones and Clifford Roberts get involved?
Well, I think one of the big things for Bobby Jones and them, kind of looking at it, is that the Berkman's nursery was very prominent and did very well. However, Prosper's passed away, and unfortunately, when he was kind of the head, he kind of led everything. So the nursery kind of fell into disrepair, and it kind of came around. So when Bobby Jones won his Grand Slam in 1930, he retired from golf. He said, "I'm no longer playing competitive golf. I'm not going to do this anymore." In terms of being professional golf, well, he was not a professional, but a true amateur. But he said that he wanted to embark on basically building a new course. And he, with the help of the financing of Clifford Roberts, actually found this property in Augusta, Georgia, which at the time it was very well known as a golf resort area for people traveling from New York down to the south. And for all of the sports fans, we all kind of know, too, that this was about the time around March area that baseball was really big. So a lot of spring training was down in Florida and helped kind of cultivate that back and forth between the Northeast and the South.
Yeah. And, and at this time of year, that's when you had the teams who were in spring training. They were heading back north. But he got the property, and obviously you when you build a golf course, you take a piece of property as it lays and try to work with the natural flow of how it goes. But what from your research, we know what Augusta National looks like on television today. What did it look like in those early days?
In those early days, it looked a lot like just a southern nursery. It was. It had tons of rows of plants. At the time, it had very large trees. There's a great photo of when Bobby Jones and Clifford Roberts were actually on the property, and Jones is standing on top of all these toppled trees, which I believe is actually what is now known as 10 Fairway. And so you had all these trees, and even Bobby Jones even said multiple times, he said, when he walked onto the property, he said, "I've never seen a property as beautiful and waiting for a golf course to be laid." Now that is paraphrasing, so it's not a direct quote.
But what was the timetable from when they got the piece of property until they were able to open it as a golf course?
The big thing was it took a few years, because you got to remember, Chip, this is also during the time of the Great Depression.
Mm-hmm.
So money is very scarce. People are looking for work, and money to join a golf club at the time was only really for the elite. And they were having a hard time coming up with the funds. So they bought the course in 1931. And it was basically sold at that time for about $70,000. And at that time, a couple of the Berkmans actually stayed on to be members to make sure that the plant survived, because Jones and Roberts had this vision that this golf course is going to be the best golf course that'll ever be made. So,
out of all of, one of the great traditions is the azaleas. And of all the things that either survived or did not survive from the original Berkman nursery, it was the azaleas that became the tradition. And any idea how was that on purpose, or was it as Bob Ross would say, was that a happy accident?
That's actually a good phrase. I like that. No, actually, originally the Berkmans really did try to actually sell those azaleas, and they sold them worldwide. I mean, they sold them in Europe and everywhere else. Or over at that time, it was, I think they had over 200 different types of azaleas. And what really helped contribute to all this was kind of the sloping area of the course. So everything kind of funnels down to Rays Creek. And if you've ever been to Augusta National, you know that the clubhouse kind of sits up at the top and everything kind of goes down all the way into Rays Creek. And not only that, the soil in that area is perfect for azaleas. So it's a very sandy type of soil, so it's very quick drying. pH is great, so those azaleas just absolutely thrive in that environment.
Yeah, it's it's one of the great signals that spring is actually here when we start seeing the coverage on television, which we'll see next week, and the bright, vivid colors that we see on the golf course, and you'll be there next week. Does television do it justice with what we're seeing on the screen?
I would say it is done exceptionally well, but it never can really just actually hit home until you've been there. I get to take a lot of people there, as their first time and everything, and they're always amazed by the elevation and how well everything's presented there with not only the grass, but the dogwoods, and of course you got the famous magnolias there on Magnolia Lane. You've got the dogwoods that are in bloom, and it is just absolutely beautiful. And I think Gary Player said it best. Heaven has a golf course that probably looks a lot like Augusta National.
Well, and to further that point just a little bit, obviously it was a golf course that was formed by man, but Mother Nature has taken its has helped out along the way with hurricanes and everything else.
It really has, and this past year with Hurricane Helene, I know a lot of people are interested in how the course is going to look and everything, but I will tell you, Augusta National is prepared. They are going to have every tree and every grass thing ready to go, for that tournament, because they're ready to show the world how great Augusta is and how great a comeback it will be from that actual storm.
All right, we're going to take a break as we talk the Masters. And Masters Week is coming up next week down in Augusta. Greg Lamb is our guest. He is a historian of the Masters Golf Tournament and Augusta National. We'll take a break on the Roundtable. Back after this here on WGNS.
The Murfreesboro Fire Rescue Department is going door to door asking for your help in the 2025 special census. The only information they will ask for is your street address, the number of residents living at that address, and their first and last names. That's it, and it only takes a couple of minutes to complete. Information gathered for the special census provides funds to improve our public safety division, and that benefits the entire community. You can also fill out the special census online at murfreesborocensus.com.
Choosing the right insurance can be overwhelming. That's where Recall at Rayburn Insurance comes in. At Rayburn, we're not just about policies, we're about people. Recall will take the time to understand your needs and find the best coverage at the best price. We've been serving our community since 1973. So why not let Recall take the stress out of insurance? Rick Hall at Rayburn Insurance Agency, where you're more than just a policy number. You're our neighbors.
Huh, that's a $10 bill.
Finding a $10 bill on the couch is a win.
And another one. And another one. And another
Finding
one.
100 $10 bills? Now that's a multiplier win.
Honey, this couch is like an ATM. Go check the one in the bonus room.
Multiply your win again and again with a Multiplier Instant Games. Play today to multiply your win 10, 20, 50, 100, or even 200 times for the chance at a $1 million top prize. The Tennessee Lottery. Game-changing fun. Please play responsibly.
We're at Adams Place talking with John Hood. What advice do you have for someone considering a move?
Well, I would encourage them to check out Adams Place. Come and personally see the facilities, talk to the personnel, and get a true feel of Adams Place.
I'm Terry Deal, Rutherford County's premier retirement community with all 5 levels of care. Call me for more information about Adams Place, located at 1927 Memorial Boulevard, across from Walmart.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by AmeriCare Pest Control and the law offices of John Day.
This is a paid legal ad.
You've probably heard it a million times. If you're injured, call a lawyer. And you probably haven't because you don't know how much it will cost, how long it will take, or even if you have a case. At the law offices of John Day, we provide a free initial consultation because we understand that folks don't want to pay a lawyer only to find out they don't have a case. If you think we can help, we do so on a contingency basis, which means we only get paid if you do. Seriously injured? Call me, John Day.
WGNS encourages you to shop local. Let's patronize those local mom and pop businesses. This is the final weekend to enjoy Oklahoma at the Arts Center of Cannon County in neighboring Woodbury. Don't miss Oklahoma. It continues through Sunday. Meet local author Terry Lee over at the Linebaugh Public Library on Monday afternoon, April the 7th. Terry will be telling about her book, The Adventures of Modern Megan. Again, that's Monday, April the 7th, 1:30 in the afternoon at the Linebaugh Public Library. And speaking of the library, they have some free computer classes over at the Tech Center. Get with the Tech Center and learn about the free computer classes. And all of the branches of the Rutherford County Library System offer help in learning how to use your smartphone. Just bring it by the library branch nearest you, and they'll help you. The Red Cross is still critically low on blood, so please give the gift of life. Phone the Red Cross at 800-RED-CROSS and make an appointment to give blood at a time that fits your schedule. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
A wind advisory is in effect for the forecast area. A few spotty showers and thunderstorms at times this afternoon. Partial sunshine develops with a high into the mid-80s. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS.
Currently, it's 72.
Broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios, MTE has provided light, comfort, and connection to our community since 1936. As your trusted energy advisor, MTE is always here to help. Connect online or download the My MTE app.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
Welcome back into the Roundtable here on this Wednesday morning. Chip Walters with you, and glad to have Greg Lamb joining us from Kingsport. Greg, a Middle Tennessee grad and a master's historian. And we spent our first segment kind of talking about how the golf course took shape and how Bobby Jones, who is obviously the founder of the Masters golf tournament, got involved with the golf course in Augusta. So, Greg, once they got the property and Bobby Jones has decided, okay, I'm retiring from competitive golf. I want to put this great golf course together. How long did it take from getting the golf course open in 1933 until they, came up with the idea of an invitational golf tournament that was going to be the best in the world?
They did. So they started the Augusta National Invitational Tournament at that time in 1934 because they did. They wanted to draw people into the area, not only one for membership, but two to kind of show everything. And Bobby Jones actually came out of retirement and actually played in the first Masters. It was actually won by Horton Smith. But what a lot of people don't realize is that the club was struggling financially at that time. So they actually had to go around to each member at the time and basically take up money in order to pay Horton Smith the prize money for winning the first Augusta National Invitational Tournament. Then that moves into 1935. Of course, with 1935, it really makes a big impact with Gene Sayers and the shot heard around the world, that double eagle on 15. It got him into a playoff, kind of led to an aura around the tournament. Even though there were only less than about 25 people that actually witnessed that shot, it is still something that's part of that Masters aura and lore that we hear about today that really put the tournament on the map, because that shot kind of spread around the entire world and kind of put Augusta on the map.
And interestingly enough, just about the time they got their feet under them, here comes World War II. And like many things, they had to take a break, and we would now look in horror thinking that those fairways and greens were used to raise cattle and turkeys for the war effort, but that's exactly what happened.
That's exactly what happened. They wanted to contribute to the war effort. So there were actually cows and turkeys that were raised on the property. Unfortunately, the cows actually ate a lot of the plants and other things, and the turkeys were the ones that actually ended up turning a profit because the cows ended up eating so much of the flora around the property.
Well, obviously they have been able to bring that back, but once the war was over, obviously, General Eisenhower was such a huge part of World War II, and then he was an avid golfer, and it's kind of like synchronicity, I guess, because. How did he become? Did he kind of invite himself to be part of Augusta National, or did they invite him to be part of the golf course? Because it seems to me that it was, a nice little tournament in a nice little town in the South, and all of a sudden, here he becomes involved. It becomes a huge thing.
And it was, Chip. There was another member of Augusta National after the war that actually invited President Eisenhower, or it was Dwight Eisenhower at the time, he wasn't president, to actually become a member. Clifford Roberts actually helped Eisenhower with a lot of his finances and financial planning. He was the co-founder of the tournament. So really, when Eisenhower came on, it was a huge impact for Augusta National and the Masters tournament, even though Dwight Eisenhower never actually saw a Masters tournament.
Really?
He was only able to play during the off time. He always wanted to go, but unfortunately, due to his schedule, he was never able to actually see a tournament. But one of his enduring legacies there on the property, since he was a member, and at this time he eventually became president, they actually built a cabin there, so it's the Eisenhower cabin, and you'll see this a lot during the Masters tournament because it's right behind the green jacket presentation there on 18 green, and it's got the white cabin with a big gold eagle over the entryway.
So don't confuse it with the Butler cabin.
Don't confuse it with Butler cabin or the Jones cabin. No, that is correct. But also Eisenhower had some other big impacts. During this time, they also built the par 3 course right behind the Eisenhower cabin, and that little pond between 8 and 9 green actually ended up being the Eisenhower pond. And of course, Eisenhower is well known for hitting that big lob volley pine on 17 for so many years. That was was affectionately known as the Eisenhower tree, but eventually it did come down. I believe it was 2014 due to an ice storm.
Yeah, and so his presence certainly, made the footprint of the Masters on the country a lot bigger, but also that ushered in the era of television, and really nothing could excite the entire country about that golf course and that tournament more than being able to see it on television. And it just looked like, even you think back into the 60s, when it first started getting on television, it was still in black and white mainly, until color television came along, but it still gave people a glimpse into what looked to be an idyllic site, and that would be the Augusta National Golf Course.
That's correct, Chip. So, also around the 50s and 60s, that was kind of the golden era of golf. So, the first holes were shown were in 1956 were holes 15 through 18. But also during this time, you had the big three. You had Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player during the 60s and early 70s. And Palmer really kind of helped build the Masters tournament through there with his wins, too, because Arnold was not a country club kid. He was this guy from Latrobe, Pennsylvania, that was a down-to-earth guy, and everybody just loved Arnold. And they just eventually it was the best of both worlds. So you had a great place, a great player, and it just kind of joined together. And then in 1966, you had the first broadcast of a tournament shown in color. It was also the first year the badge list was closed to patrons. So that badge is the 4-day pass that comes open to patrons. And then also eventually 1971, you have Bobby Jones that passes away due to his illness. But also with television, 1973, it's the first time that 12 Golden Bell was actually shown on television, which, that is one of the most iconic golf holes in all the world, and to think that it was never shown on television until 1973 is just amazing.
So that's part of Amen Corner.
That is correct.
And in those days it was called the Golden Bell, and now it's more commonly known as part of Amen Corner.
That is correct. Yeah. So it's still officially known as Golden Bell, Chip.
Yeah.
But it's part of that 3-hole stretch, 11, 12, and 13, that you've got Dogwood, and then Golden Bell, and then 13 is Azalea.
Yeah, I think in my lifetime and going back, when you and I were talking to get this started, the television coverage of the Masters is so unique because, it has always been on CBS, and then they have alternate coverage. First of all, it started on USA, now it's on ESPN, but CBS, CBS has always had golf, but the Masters is so unique because the golf tournament controls the coverage. They control the sponsors. They control the announcers. They select the announcers. They also select some of the nomenclature that can and cannot be used in the coverage of the golf tournament, because you think about, to me, obviously Vern Lundquist was huge. Jim Nantz, who will continue to, Jim, who lives in Nashville now, he's heading down after he goes to the Final Four to watch his Houston Cougars play in the Final Four. He'll be heading over to Augusta, and he's already prepping for his coverage. I heard him on the radio in Nashville this week. But, there are certain, you're not going to have Pat McAfee on the ESPN portion of the coverage. It is very buttoned up and very genteel.
It is. It's very polished. They want to make sure that everything is presented in accordance to what they want their vision of that tournament to be. And again, the membership has that control overall. So they control everything from how the tournament's broadcasted to how high the grass is actually cut to the cost of a concession item. And with the tournament coverage, it's amazing because the Masters was the first in a lot. It was the first tournament that was actually truly broadcast in 3D in 2010. And on the internet. It was first of any major sporting event. In 2016, it was the first live sporting event actually done in high definition. Which a lot of times we take for granted now. We think, wow, everything's in high def.
Yeah, but not the case.
Time, it was unreal in 2016. So, and like you were talking about, Chip, the announcers kind of make and play what the tournament is all about. It was interesting. You mentioned Vern Lundquist. I actually went back and watched the 86 Masters with Jack Nicklaus, and that was actually Jim Nance's.
I'm getting goosebumps here just thinking about that shot.
No. It was actually Jim Nance's first year calling a Masters, and he was on 16 calling his first Masters, which Vern eventually took over 16 there for so many years and had so many great shots and great call shots. But I mean, we all know the 86. He was on 17 with the Jack Nicklaus, the perfect time, yes sir, with the with the hand pumps and everything else, and Tiger's great shot that he had that kind of held there on the corner and then eventually rolled into the cup. The announcers also make it, and I would say Jim and Vern did a great job, but they're also the originals. There was some, Brett Musburger was one of the original announcers for the Masters.
And I was thinking, obviously Pat Summerall was there for a lot of years as well. And so when I think about my oldest memories, I think of, when I was, started to watch golf a little bit, that's kind of where mine went. But talk a little bit about the parameters of things how they have to describe certain things.
So it's a little different. So as we talk, and there's a certain vernacular that has to go on, they just can't call them fans. Everyone is referred to as patrons, and that's dictated by Augusta National. It's not the rough, it's the second cut. You can describe the greens as fast, but you can't do what Gary McCord did. I'm not going to re-say what he said about the greens there. But it has brought in some controversy, but they do have their own rules, and every media person that comes on grounds is given a sheet, and they're expected to follow those sheets. But like you said, like the Pat McAfees of the world and the Foreplay podcast and all those guys, they have to abide by those rules while they're on property.
Yeah, and believe me, they have folks who are listening. So so that's what's going on. So obviously it's coming up. The par 3 tournament will be early next week. First round will be next Thursday as we talk the Masters Golf Tournament with Greg Lamb today. We're going to get into some of the Tennessee ties to the Masters, and also, of course, we got to talk about the food. That's all coming up next on our final segment here on the Wednesday Roundtable on WGNS.
The Murfreesboro Fire Rescue Department is going door to door asking for your help in the 2025 special census. The only information they will ask for is your street address, the number of residents living at that address, and their first and last names. That's it, and it only takes a couple of minutes to complete. Information gathered for the special census provides funds to improve our public safety division, and that benefits the entire community. You can also fill out the special census online at murfreesborocensus.com.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. so it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
No two people learn the exact same way. So how did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app? We thought of you, all of you. Take Sierra. As a visual learner, she uses Babbel's wordplay videos.
Today I'll share a quick lesson on shopping in French.
Merci beaucoup. Keith is a be in the room with real people kind of learner, so he loves the live online classes with our language experts.
Okay, class. ¿Vos está pronto?
Estamos prontos.
However you learn, Babbel makes it easy. Try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. BABBEL.com.
Premier 6 Theater on Broad in Jackson Heights.
Let's all go to the movies.
Check out what's showing at MurfreesboroMovies.com. Popcorn popped fresh daily.
Movies at the good old premises.
Premier 6 on Broad in Jackson Heights.
Middle Point Landfill's Mike Klassen.
Let's do the right thing and get some recycling programs off the ground.
Middle Point's trying hard to start a recycling program.
You know, if anyone sees your water bill, you have a waste charge on there, and the city has said it's going to go up from $11 per month up to like $33 per month. For less than half of that cost, we could put a cart at every single person's house and have a fully fledged recycling curbside program that would be immediately viable in this county. Like, that opportunity is here for this city, and it's here now.
The answer's here. Middle Point Landfill.
Easter comes early this year, March 31st. At Bell Jewelers, we have a great selection of cross pendants and earrings, birthstone jewelry, and we have a great selection of kids' jewelry if you want to come by, and it would be a great surprise in their Easter baskets. Easter comes early this year, March 31st. Hey everyone, it's Taylor with Bell Jewelers, 821 Northwest Broad Street, across from Toots.
This is Kim Dunaway from Sunshine Nutrition Center. You hear me on Monday mornings at 7:20 talking about how to lead a healthier lifestyle. We carry supplements, personal care, and grocery items at both our Murfreesboro and Smyrna locations, family owned and operated since 1989.
Money issues? There's someone local you can talk to. Financial Coaching Radio with certified financial planner Jason Qualls. Weekdays at 4 on News Radio WGNS.
Welcome back in, friends, to the Roundtable here on this Wednesday morning. As you hear the music, that means the Masters is not far away, and Greg Lamb joins us today from Kingsport. And Greg is an MTSU grad and by a couple of times, and also a Masters historian, and we have kind of given you a lot of history. Now we're going to kind of get into some of the unique, a lot of it's unique, but about the fan experience, and concessions, tickets, all of that. You know, it's not like you can just walk up to Augusta National Golf Course next week and get in to see, you know, whether it's a practice round, the par 3 tournament, or the golf tournament itself. And talk a little bit about the uniqueness of the badge system and how that works, and what if let's say somebody wanted to go. I know one way you could go, and I have a friend who puts together packages and that kind of thing. But it's not, you don't just jump on Ticketmaster and get your tickets.
No, it's a completely different experience with Augusta National. With as famous as the tournament is and the experience and what everybody wants to go and do, it's all now controlled through them, and it's through a lottery system. You have to put your name in every year.
Boy, do I know.
Yeah. Chip, it's our tradition, unlike any other, as we call it.
That's right. Our tradition, unlike any other. The Dear John letter that you get.
But no, there's a big difference. The daily is a regular ticket, so it is a paper ticket. But what makes the Masters somewhat unique is that they have a thing called a badge, and that's the 4-day pass, basically for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And that 4-day badge basically gets you into the tournament for the entire completion. Now that badge list has been open and closed. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. It first closed in '66. It reopened, I think, in 2000, and then it closed again. So the people that are on those badge lists get those every year and they can continue to purchase them. They will continue to get those badges. However, it only passes to the spouse. So once that spouse passes away, it goes to the next person in line on that list, which is what a lot of people hope and dream for, is to have their name on that list to get access to those badges every year.
Any idea how many badges change hands in a given year?
There is really, I mean,
and I'm sure they probably keep that a close secret, but
it is. It's a very closely guarded secret, and I will say 2021 was the first year with limited patrons, and I want to say they limited about a third of what they normally do. Now that, again, that's just my estimate, and it was just amazing how many people were limited there. And I think Augusta National, they want those patrons there in order to enjoy the experience and enjoy everything that's going on. And the more people that's there, I mean, that's what makes those Roars and Amen Corner happen, are those patrons. So,
speaking of experience, let's say you are lucky enough to get a one-day ticket to one of the 4 rounds, Thursday through Sunday. Kind of take us through what would your day be like, number one, after you find somewhere to stay within 100 miles of Augusta. But let's say when you come to the course, what is your day going to be like?
I mean, if you're coming in on a Thursday, Thursday's always a great time to come in. It's early. You need to be there early. People show up about an hour or two before the gates actually open in order to go see the course. If it's your first time, I always recommend going through the North Gate. If you're a seasoned pro, South Gate's always great for the season patrons. But if it's your first time, go through that North Gate area. You're going to want to see all the big things. You're going to want to see the Masters leaderboard. Of course, everybody wants to go shop. There's a big golf shop there at the north and south entrance, but most people go to the north entrance and shop. And again, it's all about enjoying those low-price concession items that are available also.
Well, let's talk about that, because now you talk about everybody wants to go shop, because you may get a text from me later today about what I want you to pick up at the gift shop there, because the one thing about the Masters items, the official Masters items, you cannot go online and purchase.
No, you cannot. They opened that in 2020 and 2021 for the people that actually had tickets. There was an online ordering system, but no, you can only get Augusta National and Masters merchandise there on site through the golf shops there on site at Augusta National Golf Club.
Now, what you can order is the concession food that you can order that and have your own Masters party. And this is the real stuff. I mean, it's the cups, which you gave me one a couple of years ago, and it sits on my bathroom vanity and rinses my toothpaste out every time that I brush my teeth. But it's the cups, it's the egg salad, it is the barbecue, it's the chips, it's the cookies, it's the real stuff.
It is the real stuff. So it's all made there at Augusta, and Augusta is partnered with Goldbelly and actually to distribute those out to all the people throughout the United States. And they did something new this year. They called it the Azalea Kit, which is their signature mixed cocktail that they have that's only available through Berkman's Place or the Clubhouse. They actually have made that available for the drink mix. It doesn't come with the vodka, but it does have the drink mix, the stirs, and the cups that are available this year. Unfortunately, it sold out very quickly.
Well, you can find you can go on YouTube and find copycat recipes for how to make the azalea cocktail. But again, and they have several of those packages, depending on, if you've got 10 people coming or you've got 50 people coming, you can order. And it is the real stuff. And now, which all leads us to the signature item, and that would be pimento cheese. And there was a major change in the Masters pimento cheese, 25 years ago, something like that?
Yeah, it's been close to about 25 years ago that it changed. There was a local company that actually made the pimento cheese. It was kind of more smooth and creamier.
And I'm going to say this, and I gave you this example the other day when we talked, that the smoothness reminds me of Mrs. Grissom's pimento cheese. It's now more like palmetto cheese, which has the larger pieces of cheese in it, but it's not as emulsified.
It does, and Augusta National wanted to take over that recipe, and don't get me wrong, they still do a fantastic job.
Yeah,
and it's actually, even they released the prices yesterday, they're still $1.50 for a pimento cheese sandwich now, or an egg salad sandwich, their signature sandwiches.
Yeah, what about now, as far as soft drinks and beer, talk about those prices.
So you get into, they've got tea, they've got a sports drink. Now, you will see that it is not branded on there. So, but I think you can pretty much put one and one together. You're in the Atlanta area, you're close to a very large company that makes soda. I think you can put one and one together on where all that stuff comes. So, yeah, you've got tea, soda, a sports drink that's available. Most of those drinks are usually, I think they're now $2. Beer, the most expensive beer is $5 to $6. I think it's $5.
They have a domestic and an import. And
they actually make their own now, which is called Crow's Nest. And a lot of people say, oh, it's like Blue Moon. No, it's made different than Blue Moon because they actually use lemon instead of orange.
Okay.
In that recipe.
Well, and there are a couple of Tennessee ties to, first of all, food. There is and when you get through with your pimento cheese sandwich and you want a little something sweet, I will just say this: you can purchase a cookie at the concession stand that has Tennessee ties, and that's as far as we'll take that. But if you think about very delicious Tennessee, Nashville area made cookies, you might be able to get something at the Masters just like that. But one thing we know for sure that is a Tennessee product is you can buy moon pies at the golf course.
Yes, there are the mini moon pies that are available there at the course. So yeah, you've got the.
So that's a Chattanooga product.
That's a Chattanooga product, and they've actually included it with the small kit for the Taste of the Masters this year too.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah.
Speaking of Tennessee ties to the Masters, and we'll start right here in Murfreesboro because there is a huge Murfreesboro tie to the Masters golf tournament, and that's Grantland Rice, who is from Murfreesboro, the great sports writer, but he was an original member.
He was an original member of the club, and the reason he was an original member was his ties to the sports media, because Clifford Roberts and Bobby Jones knew that they needed that media tie-in in order to help promote the Masters and promote Augusta National. So Grantland Rice at that time, or Granny as he was known by a lot of people, he became a member and actually helped promote the club. And again, that tie back to Tennessee and the fact that he was born there in Murfreesboro and played football at Vanderbilt, huge tie-in that made the tournament what it is today.
Well, speaking of Vanderbilt connections, Toby Wilt, who is a great donor at Vanderbilt, played football, I think, but he is also just a great friend of golf in the state of Tennessee. Helped found the Tennessee Golf Foundation, which is now being run by our friend of the show and close friend Whit Turnbow. So, but Toby Wilt also had a really interesting role within the Masters tournament itself.
He was the first tee announcer for the last few years. Now, he wasn't the original. That actually went to Mr. Harrison that started that. But as we all know, when people get up to that tee, that four please, now driving, Mr. Wilt was the announcer for that for the last few years. Unfortunately, I think the last year someone else took it over, but I always think of Mr. Wilt every time I see the broadcast and see him up on the tee.
Yeah, and when you think of Masters champions, that's one thing that Tennessee, the state of Tennessee, has not cracked that list a whole lot. But there's a gentleman out of West Tennessee who was a Masters champion and was a huge name in the game of golf in the 50s and 60s.
He was Dr. Kerry Middlecoff. So Dr. Middlecoff won it in 1955, originally from Halls, Tennessee. Went to school at University of Mississippi, but went on to get his dental degree at University of Tennessee, Knoxville. So he ended up getting his degree there, but actually found out he was a better golf player than dentist during those 50s, and actually did win the 1955 Masters tournament.
I'm sure his patients were glad to hear that he figured he was a better golfer than a dentist.
Well, so just in the first few years, he had to have a retirement career afterwards.
So what will your week look like next week?
Next week, it's all about relaxation for me.
Will you go simply as a fan or as a patron, I should say?
I will go as a patron. We're going to enjoy our time. We actually have some tickets to the Augusta National Women's Amateur, which is a fantastic event now that started back in 2019 and has brought the world of women's golf to another level. And you actually get to see a lot with that tournament that you wouldn't normally. The women actually play from the members' tees, which is a great viewpoint, vantage point for all the people that come to see Augusta, because like most people that enjoy the Masters, some of us just don't have that game to play that course. So
I understand that. Greg, thanks so much for taking some time and a lot of great information here today that and probably uncovered a lot of stuff that people didn't know. And hope you enjoy your time down there next week, and hope you have great weather for sure.
All right. Thank you, Chip. Appreciate the time.
All right. Greg Lamb, Masters historian, joins us today. And be sure, if you missed any of this and want to catch any of it, you can do so on the podcast section of wgnsradio.com. So we wind up our pre-Masters coverage as we enjoyed our hour with Greg Lamb today. Brian Barrett coming up next right here on the Big G, WGNS.
WGNS, Murfreesboro, Smyrna.
The Murfreesboro Fire Rescue Department is going door to door asking for your help in the 2025 special census. The only information they will ask for is your street address, the number of residents living at that address, and their first and last names. That's it, and it only takes a couple of minutes to complete. Information gathered for the special census provides funds to improve our public safety division, and that benefits the entire community. You can also fill out the special census online at Murfreesboro